My name is Shana, and I'm glad you're able to join us today here in our community and online. Shabbat Shalom. So this week's parashah is titled Yitro. It's found in Exodus 18:1 through Exodus 20:23. Now, Yitro contains a significant event in history, one I can almost guarantee everyone in the room and online has heard about. So raise your hand if you have heard about the story of the Israelites receiving the 10 Commandments. Yes, and online, if you are familiar with the story, give us a thumbs up. So, one might think that this Torah portion would be titled Commandments, or 10 words, as it's often referred to. It would even be fitting to be called the Law or Mount Sinai. But the question of the week is, who is Yitro, and why is the Torah portion named after someone who is not an Israelite? So, but before I reveal his name, I want you to take a guess. So you can take your order of worship and write on the top in English who you think it is, and those online can type it in the comments. I'm going to give you some hints. So Yitro was a Gentile. Yitro was a Midianite pagan priest. He was Moses' father-in-law. Have you figured it out yet? Yes, Jethro. So Yitro is Hebrew for Jethro. And so our Torah portion opens up with Jethro arriving at Mount Sinai where Moses is encamped. And with him he has Moses' wife and his 2 sons. And we're told that Moses runs out and falls prostrate before Jethro. Now, bowing and kissing in this manner is traditionally to show respect for the head of a family. For a moment, I want you just to think, as if you were a fly on the wall, what it would be like for Moses catching up with his family, his wife, his boys, his father-in-law, telling them miracle after miracle that he got to see firsthand and how Jehovah provided escape from Egypt. Now, moving on to the next day, we're given a glimpse of a conversation between Moses and Jethro. Jethro saw how the people were lining up and coming to Moses to inquire of God when they had a dispute. So Jethro told Moses, "You're going to wear yourself out." And he advised Moses to set up a judicial system, appointing trustworthy men to judge the smaller cases and only bringing the major issues to Moses. Now, there's so many lessons we can learn just from chapter 18, from understanding respect, bowing to a fatherhead, hospitality to those not in our camp or our belief, how to unburden others by sharing advice, open our ears to listen and take action when change is needed, or how about a guide on how and why to surround yourself with trustworthy people? Well, all of these are wonderful lessons, but this morning I want to talk to you about your relationship and what it means to be in relationship with Jehovah. So when Jethro first arrived at Mount Sinai and heard how the Israelites were delivered out of the hand of Pharaoh, he made a confession. I know Jehovah is greater than all gods. Many translations today have taken that original Hebrew text, Jehovah, and replaced it with words such as Lord, God, Adonai, which are all expressions that we use to reference our Father, Jehovah. However, these are also expressions used to describe other gods. There's something important I want you to note. Jethro called Jehovah by name. And without getting into discussion about how to pronounce God's name or the tetragrammaton letters Yod, He, Vav, He, the point I want you to remember is that the original Hebrew text shows Jethro calling our Father by a specific name, not shared with any other God, and confessing he is greater than all gods. So let me point something else out to you. Our English translations tell us Jethro brought a burnt offering and sacrifices for God. What it says in the original Hebrew language is that Yitro brought an olah and zephyr, Olah is a burnt offering that was offering the entire animal on the altar. This is to symbolize a surrender to God. The Zephah was a peace offering. It was the only sacrifice that was voluntary. So all of this was sealed with Jethro breaking bread with Moses, Aaron, and the elders of Israel. This was the standard way of making a covenant, a brit, an agreement between parties, especially when Jehovah and Israel. So a covenant is more than just a contractual agreement. It's sharing in life together with mutual duties, mutual obligation. And it appears Jethro made a covenant before God and possibly declared allegiance to Jehovah. But did he renounce the other gods? Probably not. More than likely, it was an acknowledgement that Jehovah, God of the Hebrews, was the greatest among many gods. You see, Jethro knew Jehovah. He called him by name. He knew of the miracles. He was a wise man and gave Moses some great advice. He even made a couple of sacrifices to Jehovah. But did Jethro stay and become part of the congregation at Mount Sinai? No. By the end of chapter 18, we find Moses giving Jethro leave to return to his land, Midian. So what happens next at Mount Sinai was an eye-opener for me. Follow me here. Jehovah had brought the Israelites out of Egypt to meet with him, establish a new relationship. God had separated these people through Jacob. They had grown as a nation in another land, in hardship, strife, and God rescued them. Israel was a set-apart people. And Jehovah was about to give them the laws he wrote with his own finger. If they chose to follow these laws, it would make a distinction between Israel and everyone else. So let's talk about the covenant just for a minute. Covenants are agreements between two parties. And as we saw, even with Jethro, who made a covenant acknowledging Jehovah as the greatest God. It's even common for men, such as kings, to make covenants with a kingdom or a group of people. Matter of fact, some of the laws that God was about to bestow upon Israel had parallels or similarities of other Middle Eastern societies. So what was different about this one was the relationship. Now, it's not a works-based covenant in the sense you enter into the relationship by works. It was by choice of faith. And then the proof of the relationship was in the works. You see, Moses was the mediator at the time. And Jehovah tells Moses he has a message for the people. First, you are not here because anything you did. I smote the Egyptians. I carried you out of Egypt to this spot. And now I'm bringing myself to you because I choose to do so. Second, if you hear, if you accept, and if you follow the new covenant, then you will be, if you accept the new covenant, then you will be my possession, my own precious treasure. So if you follow this new covenant, and I will consider you sanctified, a holy group of people. So keep following me. I'm about to wrap this up. So notice I said new covenant. The Mosaic covenant, or what we generally refer to as the law, is a new covenant. Israel had been operating under the Abrahamic covenant, which promised their own land, promised that they would grow in numbers, and through them, the people, the whole world would be blessed. Israel would be fruitful through this covenant. And it was not being taken away. It was being built upon. These two covenants are complementary. We see the pattern here. 1, God makes us aware of his presence. 2, God gives us a choice. He says, will you listen, obey, and follow me? 3, he says, if you accept and respond with a yes, then I will enter into relationship with you. And through that relationship, I will begin to acquaint you with my will. So why would anyone think anything would be different today as far as entering into a relationship with Jehovah? Why would it be different? God didn't set up these patterns and plans and record them in the Torah just to throw them away. He is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You see, it is by choice. And we live in the 21st century. We know the rest of the story. You know, Yeshua came and died on the cross for us. And the Messianic covenant is not something that changed or deleted the previous covenants. They're built also one upon another. So it's the mechanism that has changed. It's written on our hearts, not just on those stone tablets. Yeshua is now our mediator. Yeshua is our high priest. Yeshua is our Messiah, who is the perfect and final sacrificial lamb. And today, we still have a choice, just as Israel was given a choice at Mount Sinai. Thank you.